there's not an area of my life that hypnotherapy hasn't touched. And that just speaks to the power of the subconscious work. And hypnotherapy didn't give me more information and more understanding. What it gave me was freedom from those wounds, freedom from those limiting beliefs and those thoughts that were holding me back in life. And that freedom has allowed me to live from a place of flow rather than a place of hustle or a place of burnout or a place of dissatisfaction with life or whatever it might be for you. And I think we all deserve that freedom, to be completely honest.
Welcome to Next Level You podcast. I'm Stefanie Dingbaum, your host, your biggest cheerleader, and your go-to girlfriend for real, raw, and uplifting conversations about leveling up in life. As a mental health therapist with over a decade of experience and a business coach helping women elevate their lives and businesses, I'm here to guide you through the mindset shifts, holistic practices, and manifestation tools you need to step into your most authentic, next level self. Whether you're here to ignite your personal growth, elevate your professional game, or simply rediscover you, this podcast is your invitation to dream bigger, go after your goals, and unapologetically claim the life you deserve. So grab your favorite drink, get comfy, and let's dive in. It's time to up-level, manifest, and glow.
Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome back to Next Level You podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in today. You guys, I decided that I'm going to do something different moving forward when I record these solo episodes, and I want to be very intentional about this. If you follow me on Instagram, you probably see that I do a lot of shout outs to other business owners in my stories a lot. And I think that's important. I never knew until I was an entrepreneur myself just how important it is to support these other small businesses and support them, promote them, cheer them on, whatever it may be. And now that I am one, I completely get it. I understand the value in doing that. And I want to be really intentional about supporting other quality business owners that I have gotten value from in my own life. So I'm going to bring that onto the podcast, and I'm going to try and do a shout out every solo episode that I do. Just do a brief little shout out to a business owner that I have seen value in, that I support, that I think is killing it. Imprint Studio is who I go to for my apparel needs. So you'll see, if you're watching on YouTube, you see the apparel that I'm wearing. This beautiful logo represents Stefanie Dingbaum Clarity Coaching, and my apparel has been done all by Imprint Studio. Mariah, who owns Imprint, is amazing, you guys. She is a jack of all trades. She does social media, she does branding, websites, you name it, apparel, obviously. And she's made all the apparel that I sell on my website, which, if you didn't know that, I do sell apparel on my website with like my logos and stuff on it. And then I also go to her for just my personal apparel. Like, I like the idea of representing my business when I'm traveling, when I'm flying to conferences across the US or abroad, though I've never done one abroad yet. But I like the idea of supporting my brand that way. You just never know. Like, visibility doesn't have to be just online. You just never know at the airport who's going to see what you're wearing and might ask you about it or be intrigued by it. And so I had her make this, and then I have a QR code on the back that you can scan and it'll take you directly to my website. I got this idea actually from Jillian Murphy, who is just an amazing sales coach. Highly recommend her. If you're not working with her, or if you've never worked with her, you definitely should. She's on my bucket list to work with at some point within the year. But yeah, Imprint is amazing. I highly recommend them for all of your apparel needs if you're a small business owner. And also, if you're wanting support on your website, I literally gave her the ideas for my website, the aesthetic, and like what I was really looking for, and gave her all my copy, and she ran with it. And I cannot say enough good things about my website. She made it look so pretty. It's so me. The vibe is so me, both of them, my private practice as well as my coaching business. And I just could not be happier. Not everybody believes in throwing money at a website, but I myself see a lot of value in that. And I love showing off my website. I'm very proud in the work that she's done. So if you need support in that area, definitely reach out to Imprint on Instagram. I'll put her link in the show notes if you are in need of rebranding or apparel. Okay, let's dive into today's episode, you guys. I'm really excited because what I'm talking to you guys all about today is my 12-year healing journey and what that has all looked like. Specifically, though, I want to talk to you about why solely hypnotherapy changed everything for me and changed much more than the 6 years of talk therapy that I did prior to hypnotherapy could ever do for me. So I was on a personal healing journey. I started therapy for myself back in 2014 and I remember that specifically because that was the year I had to get a scope done. I was having a lot of gut health issues and I couldn't figure out what the problem was. I was getting ulcer after ulcer after ulcer, and it was really impacting my ability to work. And it was just making me miserable. So finally, my primary had me scheduled me to get a scope done, did that. And what that determined was that I have GERD. What the provider back then told me was that I was going to need to be on medication for the rest of my life to heal this. And I, at that time, was against medication. That was before I really dove into my holistic journey, to be honest. And I refused that answer and was like, what else you got? And they were like, well, it was probably caused by stress. So it wouldn't hurt if you would consider starting therapy. And I was like, absolutely. At the time I was a behavioral health counselor. And so I was like, yeah, it makes sense. I should be seeing a therapist. So that's kind of what kickstarted my therapy journey. I did talk therapy and a mixture of that and EMDR for 6 years approximately. And it was a good foundation for me. It was a very good foundation. But what I found since then is that all these different healing modalities that I've incorporated into my healing journey have all kind of gotten me a step further than the one prior. And so I really want you guys, as the listener, to understand why I'm saying that hypnotherapy was the primary game changer for me and why I don't want you to waste time, energy, or money doing years of talk therapy alone. There is benefit to talk therapy, but doing solely talk therapy without any other healing modality, I think is a waste of your time. Okay. Another shout out that I should do real quick. This is a total sidebar. You guys, on my admin days, when I work from home, this is my drink of choice if you're watching on YouTube. And I'm not an affiliate with Perpy by any means. Okay. But Perpy is like my go to drink of choice on my admin days. It's this new soda that I found at our local Hy-Vee, and I just love it. There's no caffeine in it. It's low in sugar. It's got like this one in particular. It's got L-theanine and ashwagandha in it. It's like a blueberry pear taste. Oh, it's chef's kiss. I love it. Okay. So I'm now 12 years into therapy. And like I said, those first 6 years was talk therapy. And then eventually I dabbled into some EMDR. It was all healing. It was all necessary, but it wasn't enough for me. Okay. When I finally discovered hypnotherapy, which was thanks to a friend in grad school that recommended her mom actually to be my hypnotherapist, I started like within the month, I got scheduled to start hypnotherapy. And it was quite literally the best thing I've ever done for myself. It shifted things that nothing else prior to that had. And it changed my life in ways that I honestly didn't know was possible. And now that I'm 6 years into hypnotherapy, if I'm being completely honest with you, which I always am on here, it's not only the best thing I've ever done for myself, but I wish I would have done it sooner. I wish I would have known about it sooner because I think while I needed that foundation of talk therapy, and I think that was a good like stepping stone to getting to where I'm at, I think I could have saved a lot of time, money, and energy. And hypnotherapy was like the missing piece for me. But I want to be transparent. Today is not about dismissing or dissing talk therapy. Okay. That's not what we're doing today. I do talk therapy as well. It's about sharing with you what I learned from my 12 years of healing. And I really want to help you avoid the years of spinning wheels that I experienced. Okay. So let's first talk about those first 6 years. Those first 6 years when I was doing talk therapy and EMDR, like I said before, that really gave me the foundation that I needed. So I'm really grateful for that time. Like I explained early on, I started because of stress. Stress was causing all of these ulcers. I was getting sick to my stomach. I was in unhealthy relationship after unhealthy relationship after unhealthy relationship. I thought I had healed things in those first few years of therapy. No, 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 that's not accurate. Thought that I was in a really good place. I thought I was handling things fine. At that time, I was a behavioral health counselor and a crisis counselor, and I thought I had healthy boundaries. I thought I was in a good place with everything. The truth be told, I was not. And I needed that dose of reality from a therapist to point me in a better direction. There was a lot of vicarious trauma I was experiencing, a lot of secondary trauma that I was experiencing, and it was impacting me more than I was realizing. It was also this was probably where I first started recognizing, like, hints of burnout as well, and probably also a combination of grief and whatnot. And so that's what led me to starting therapy. It was ultimately what was recommended by my primary care provider after having that scope done. And what that first few years of talk therapy gave me was I finally understood why I was struggling. I finally understood that I was carrying a self-worth wound from my daddy issues, and I was finally able to trace my patterns back to childhood, family dynamics, and past relationships. And it honestly gave me a safe space where I felt I could openly cry. I could openly talk about my wounds, the pain I was carrying from them, my story. It was extremely validating. And it was just nice to finally be heard, honestly, because prior to that, I don't know, like, I don't think with certain friends, I probably wasn't sharing all of that. I mean, you have your go-to friends that you go deep on that stuff with, but not everybody, and it's not like dinner table talk, right? So I learned a lot about myself. I learned a lot about my triggers, my defense mechanisms, my coping patterns, all of that. And when I say it gave me a good foundation, what I mean is it helped me build not only a better relationship with myself, but it helped me understand my trauma in a way that when we're on the inside living it, we have a distorted view of it. And so sometimes it takes somebody from outside of our lived experience to point it out to us in a different perspective, in a different way. And it gives us that clarity that we weren't seeing before. It's like looking at it through a different lens, so to speak. And so it really helped me to begin to see that healing was possible for me and that I didn't have to carry these wounds and that I didn't have to carry the trauma and the grief and all of that. And then we, with my first therapist, started dabbling in EMDR. At this point in time, I didn't really know a ton about EMDR like I do now. One of my best friends is an EMDR practitioner, and so I've learned a lot more about it in the last year. We started doing EMDR, and that was more somatic for me. It really helped me process the trauma on a deeper level than I was before, that I don't think I was able to access solely through talk therapy. I feel like what the EMDR did for me was it helped me experience some relief and it helped me shift things in a way that I couldn't in just talk therapy. So there was some resolution from EMDR. I don't want to say there was none. There was some resolution from that around some specific traumatic memories that I carried. So it definitely took it a level deeper than talk therapy, but it still wasn't deep enough for me. I would say it was a good stepping stone for sure, though. What talk therapy and EMDR did not do for me was they did not help me rewire my subconscious beliefs. I mean, I could understand why I believed what I believed through talk therapy, but I still was craving more depth. They didn't help me release any stuck patterns. I could talk about like my self sabotage for months through EMDR and talk therapy, but ultimately I kept sabotaging. Well, I did talk therapy for 2 years before I got out of what was a really unhealthy relationship. So it took 2 years of talk therapy to make that decision. I want to believe if I had done hypnotherapy sooner, I would have left way sooner. So they didn't help me release the stuck patterns. They didn't give me like freedom from those patterns either. I was always, I would just say, like, managing and coping and processing, but not transcending, which is what I feel I get out of hypnotherapy. So, I'd have breakthroughs in sessions. I'd feel good for a few days after, but then ultimately I'd just fall back into the same patterns, which I see this with a lot of my current talk therapy clients that aren't accessing hypnotherapy from me. They get into a good place. They might have a season of their life that's really good, but then they fall back into these old patterns. And it's like, why do you think you fall back into those? I can tell you why. It's because the subconscious rewiring isn't being done for you, which is why sprinkling in hypnotherapy is so powerful. So ultimately, was there progress? Yes, but progress was slow. It was incremental. And honestly, sometimes it felt like I was just spinning my wheels. Did I love going and unloading and having that safe space? Absolutely. I loved it. I always look forward to therapy sessions. Whether I feel like it moves the needle or not, I always look forward to them. But I can say looking back now that I was just spinning my wheels a lot of the times. But what I will say is what those 6 years taught me was that talk therapy is necessary. It is valuable. It does serve a place in this world. But and it has a ceiling. And I hit that ceiling. I needed something that worked faster at a deeper level with more, I would say, more lasting results. That's what I was craving. I was doing what I thought were all the right things. I was showing up to therapy. I was doing the work outside of therapy. I was doing the journaling. I was being open in therapy and vulnerable in therapy, but something was still missing for me. And I want to break this down for you also through cost. Okay. The cost of staying in talk therapy for 6 years. Let me do this math for you because I think it's important for you to know this as well. 6 years of talk therapy, whether it's covered by insurance or not, mine was not at the time. So here's what it cost me. I went bi-weekly for probably that first year, I think. So every other week, that's 52 divided by 2. Okay, so 26 weeks of therapy for 6 years. Well, let's say for 2 years, because I think after 2 years, I then went down to monthly. So I did bi-weekly for 2 years. And then a session cost $150. That's $7,800, you guys, that I threw at therapy. Okay. Then for the other 4 years, I went monthly. So 12 months times 150, that's $1,800 plus that 7,800. So we're talking almost 10 grand that I threw at talk therapy in that 6 years. Okay. We're talking well over 300 sessions, sitting in a room, talking about my wounds, 6 years of my time and energy that could have been spent building, creating, living. And yet I was still struggling with the same core beliefs, the same patterns of behaviors, and the same self doubt. Did I build my confidence? Yes. I believe through talk therapy, my confidence did grow 100% because it was through talk therapy that I eventually met my now husband. And he met me when I was at the peak of confidence at that time in my life. So definitely some benefits from that. So I just think it's important to know the money you're throwing at this too and how you can save. And I'll do the same when I talk about hypnotherapy. But the moment I discovered hypnotherapy, a friend of mine from grad school had recommended her mom to me. Her mom was a local hypnotherapist. And this is when everything started to change for me, you guys. So I ultimately decided I was going to try hypnotherapy because I wanted to work through these wounds that I was carrying that were connected to my relationship with my dad, which at the time was such a deep wound I was carrying. And then that was the first reason I wanted to go. And then after that, I really wanted to work on just improving my relationships with everybody in my family, my mom, my sister. I saw that each of these relationships were struggling in its own unique way, and I wanted to see improvement in all of them. So that's ultimately why I started hypnotherapy. And then as I got into it, I started realizing there was other things that I could work on through hypnotherapy as well that I also dove into. So ultimately, what I was hoping was just to see improvements in these relationships. And what I noticed was different about my experience compared to talk therapy is I would literally walk out of those sessions feeling like a different person, feeling like a weight was lifted off my shoulders, feeling like I don't have to do as much outside of sessions as I did with my talk therapy. And that within itself was valuable for me. After those first few sessions, I was already feeling lighter. I was already feeling more clarity, more peace. There was definitely a shift happening for me. It's hard to really explain it unless you've experienced it yourself, but you definitely start to notice this shift happening. And it's changes, like some of these changes I was noticing immediately when I don't even know how many sessions. So I think we did 3 or 4 sessions focused on my relationship with my father. And it was interesting how my emotions towards him lessened. I would get less emotional around him. I would get triggered less by him. And all of that was because of the subconscious rewiring that was happening. And it didn't take weeks or months, it took days to make this happen, which is so freaking powerful. And in my most recent work that I've done with my current hypnotherapist, so if you guys listen to some of the previous episodes, you know that my dad, my estranged dad, came back into my life over this past, well, a year ago now, last summer, after not living near me, I don't even know, for 20 years. He's always lived out of state, and I only ever talked to him on holidays and not really in between. It was very rare if we talked in between holidays. And so we went from that kind of a relationship to now having him live a town away from me and seeing him every other week. And it was really, really triggering for me in a really powerful way. And I recognized I needed to work on this through hypnotherapy. And so it took 3 sessions with my current hypnotherapist to work through some really deep rooted anger that I was holding on to towards him. We worked through a lot of resentment I was holding on to towards him, and we worked on forgiveness towards him. And I was able to achieve all three of those in 3 sessions. And the results from those 3 sessions, you guys, was so freaking powerful. It's hard, again, like to put it into words, but prior to those sessions, when I would have him over after he would leave, I would be so angry inside. I would be fuming. I would be yeah, I'm just really, really heavy anger and resentment. And after those 3 sessions, that anger diminished significantly.
Are you ready to step into your most abundant next level self? What if I told you that what you wear and surround yourself with can actually help you manifest the life of your dreams? That's exactly why I'm so excited to share Future Self Apparel with you guys. It's a manifestation-focused lifestyle brand designed to empower you with affirmations, intentional products, and daily reminders to live your most abundant life. As a mindset and manifestation coach, I always preach about embodying your future self now, and that's exactly what this brand helps you do. Whether it's through affirmation-infused apparel, high vibrational products, or mindset shifting reminders, everything Future Self creates is designed to elevate your energy, align you with your desires, and help you become the person you are meant to be. Here's what makes Future Self Apparel so powerful. Every piece is created with intention, infused with positive affirmations and manifestation energy. Wearing or using these products is a tangible way to embody your highest self daily. And it's not just clothing, it's a mindset shift, helping you stay aligned with your goals and abundance. I've been obsessed with Future Self Apparel because it literally aligns perfectly with the work that I do, helping women build confidence, rewire their limiting beliefs, and create the life they've always dreamed of. So, if you're ready to step into your highest timeline and become the future self you've been manifesting, this is for you. Head to the link in today's show notes to shop Future Self Apparel and start living as the most confident, abundant, and aligned version of you.
Now and ever since then, it's just like a surface level annoyance that I get towards him now. Like, it's nothing. It's so wild. All because my mind shifted. Those subconscious beliefs about him shifted. It's so powerful. And so I think it's important for people to know, like, just how deep this work goes. You notice those changes immediately, and you don't have to wait days, weeks, months to see change. And it's because we're working at a different level. We're working at that subconscious level. We're creating those new neural pathways. So at this point, I can pretty much confidently tell you, I will just always be working with a hypnotherapist because there will always be something I feel that I can work through. Okay. But I think it's important to also maintain those other healing modalities. I don't think they can hurt. Okay. I will be honest with you because I'm sure people will want to hear this. It felt risky initially. Like, oh, I'm going to work with a hypnotherapist. Like, I don't know. It felt risky. I don't know how to explain it. It felt out there. I wasn't fully in my woo-woo stage that I'm in now, especially, prior to that, I had invested 6 years in a therapist and somebody who knew me very intimately and deeply. And it also felt risky starting over again, like having a whole new therapist get to know me. And yeah, it felt risky. But the benefits have far outweighed that cost. Let me talk about the real transformation that I experienced in those 6 years. Okay. So I released a lot of beliefs around my lack of self worth, believing that I wasn't good enough. I carried this story that because my dad walked out on my sister and mom and I when I was 7, but even before then, he was emotionally and physically absent. I've always carried this belief from that point forward of like, I wasn't good enough for him to stay. I wasn't good enough for him to fight for us. I wasn't good enough for him to invest time, energy, and money into me. And that was a deep wound I was carrying, that I'm not enough wound, that I'm not worthy wound. And it's why I'm a very hyper independent woman, honestly. I can do everything myself. I don't need a man, blah, blah, blah. Well, I get to have one now, and I'm grateful for that. But those beliefs had to be released. It's not like I can pinpoint like the day I felt them shift. It's more like over time how I've noticed that shift. And I've noticed it because of how I then started showing up in relationships with men. I was more confident in myself. I was less codependent. And that was huge. Meeting Mitch was huge for me. It was while I was with Mitch that I did a lot of this hypnotherapy work. And I quickly became less and less codependent, which I think is the best thing for me because I felt I had this really unhealthy degree of codependence. So that was a huge change for me. Besides that, I would say I worked through a lot of the perfectionism that I was carrying. That was a shadow part of myself that I worked through. And probably like, I don't even know, maybe 3 or 4 sessions. We worked on some self abandonment issues that I was carrying. And all of this, again, we rewired at the subconscious level. And it's because of all that work that I was starting to show up differently in my life. And when you start to notice that those patterns aren't running the show anymore, shifts happen in a rather large way. It not only shifted how I was showing up in relationships, but it also shifted how I was showing up in relationship with myself. I felt I had more self trust. I felt I finally was owning my worth. I was more willing to speak up in rooms where previously I wouldn't. I just think overall I started showing up with more confidence and more belief in myself. And that's huge, you guys. You can't put a price tag on that. In my opinion, you can't. And then I would say just in the last like 3 years of hypnotherapy is when I started to really do a lot more work on like my nervous system and wanting to be less of an anxious person, more of a grounded person, more of a stable, at peace, easeful person. And that has been a gift to myself as well. Things that used to once rattle me and used to like really like light a fire under me in a negative way, they don't anymore. I don't feel I get easily rattled. I don't feel I get easily triggered. A client actually pointed this out to me recently when I was in a virtual session. One of my male clients, we were talking about doing hypnotherapy for the nervous system, and I had self-disclosed that I've done that work myself. And I said, I like to think it's benefited me, but honestly, sometimes I have a hard time because I'm living on the inside of my life. It's hard to look at it from the outside looking in, obviously, because I'm on the inside. And so I had shared that with him, and he was like, I'd say so. And I'm like, what do you mean? And he's like, well, at the start of this session, there was a wasp in my office, and old me would have screamed. And he pointed out, like, I've never heard someone be so calm about a wasp being in their room or in their vicinity. And I was like, well, that's funny. I didn't even put two and two together and think that was a thing. And he's like, you were so calm, Steph. You were literally like, there's a wasp in here. I better kill that. I did it while he was talking and it was no big deal and moved on with the session. And he's like, I would have been yelling. Like that would have freaked me out. And I was like, oh, okay. So maybe, maybe my nervous system is more calm and more grounded. Okay. So I can definitely see instances where I am. And I know for a fact I'm less anxious. I wouldn't say that's solely from hypnotherapy. I think a lot of that is from the changes I've made in other parts of my life. But I would say overall, it's impacted the quality of my life in a rather large way. Not just how I show up in relationships, but how I react or don't react in certain situations. In other ways, it's helped me access my intuition. And that's something that I feel I've gotten that support through Reiki as well. But that's also been huge for me. I also think it's supported my journey in developing more of my spiritual gifts and abilities that I didn't know that I had. It's really strengthened that for me as well. And in general, I can just say I'm operating from a different frequency than I used to be, more of a frequency of gratitude and abundance. which is just the best feeling. Honestly, I want this for everybody. Okay. Besides all of those benefits that I've seen from it, I also can tell you that because of hypnotherapy, I've seen financial shifts in my life. Because of hypnotherapy, I have seen major relationship shifts in my life. I mean, relationships shift approximately every 7 years in our lives, anyways. But I've seen really positive ones, like the ones I mentioned in my family unit. That's all solely because of the hypnotherapy that I've worked through. It's supported me in my business growth as well. And just personal milestones too, you guys. I mean, there's not an area of my life that hypnotherapy hasn't touched. And that just speaks to the power of the subconscious work, to be completely honest. And these aren't just like internal shifts that I'm mentioning either, they're also external results. So you're going to see that internal reward because it's going to change your thoughts and how you look at the world. But then because of those changes, you're going to see an external shift and external results as well. Why would you not want that? So here's the truth, okay? With all of this being said, I didn't just think my way into these changes. I released my way into them through hypnotherapy. And hypnotherapy didn't give me more information and more understanding. What it gave me was freedom from those wounds, freedom from those limiting beliefs and those thoughts that were holding me back in life. And that freedom has allowed me to live from a place of flow rather than a place of hustle or a place of burnout or a place of dissatisfaction with life or whatever it might be for you. And I think we all deserve that freedom, to be completely honest. So, real quick, I want to share why hypnotherapy worked when talk therapy didn't and like the science behind it. Because I just really want you to be informed about this. So, here's the fundamental difference, okay? Talk therapy works on the conscious mind, which is only 5% of your brain. Our day to day actions are ran subconsciously, 95% of our brain. It's actually more than that. What I learned through my recent hypnotherapy certification course was what is it, 99 something percent of our day is all done subconsciously. So it's a 0.004% that's all done consciously. That's freaking amazing. Talk therapy, what you do is you think about your trauma, you think about your beliefs, you think about your patterns and process it. You build new understanding, you build your self-awareness. But the subconscious is still running all the old programming behind all of these things. Okay, sorry. It's thunderstorming outside. We're in a tornado watch right now, FYI, just a watch. So what you get as a result of doing talk therapy long term is you understand the problem more. You understand likely like what it stems from as well. But what you can't do is you can't feel your way out of it. Okay. With hypnotherapy, again, you're working on the subconscious mind, that 99 point whatever percent of your day. You're accessing the beliefs, the patterns, and the trauma directly. You're getting right to the root of it all. You're releasing what's stuck in your body and your nervous system. Again, getting to the root. You are reprogramming those subconscious beliefs so that they are not your default anymore, which is so fucking powerful, you guys. And then a result of all of that is you're not fighting the old programming with logic. You're replacing it with new programming, new, more empowering and affirming programming at that. So when I was doing talk therapy, I could understand my beliefs intellectually, but my subconscious still didn't believe anything different. Okay. My conscious mind was saying, Steph, you're worthy. You're worthy. Of course you're worthy. But my subconscious still believed, no, you're not enough. No, because I didn't rewire that belief. And that's what needed to happen. So, because of that, I stayed stuck and caught between what I knew was true consciously and logically, but what I felt subconsciously. That's where the disconnect happens. And you know there's a disconnect when your behaviors don't change. That's how you know. So, why hypnotherapy finally worked for me is because I finally started speaking the language that my subconscious needed to hear through images, visualization, through emotions, through sensations, through metaphors. So, instead of trying to convince my subconscious, I rewired it with the help of a hypnotherapist, with the help of affirmations, with the help of subliminals. So, my subconscious accepted the new beliefs because they were installed when my critical mind was quiet. That's key. You got to get into that deep hypnotic state to calm that critical mind. Otherwise, that voice doesn't shut the F up. So, the neuroscience behind all of this is Brain scans actually show that during hypnosis, the areas of the brain that are responsible for critical thinking actually quiet down, and the areas that are responsible for emotion and memory, they actually light up. So there's actual proof that it works, scientifically speaking. This is why you can access and change these beliefs that talk therapy can't. Okay. I just think it's important that you understand the science behind this. I really do. I usually explain this to clients as well. So, again, let's do the math on this. Let's talk about the time and energy savings that I wish I had known early on. Okay. With talk therapy, I told you it was about 10 grand. That's 6 years of talk therapy. I paid out of pocket because my insurance didn't cover it. For the first 2 years, I went weekly or biweekly and then monthly for 4 years. This was around 10 grand out of pocket. We're talking well over 300 hours of therapy. We're talking for let's say for over 300 sessions, 150 a pop. That's actually $46,000. That's, you guys, like almost 50,000. Wow. Okay. That's also besides the cost financially, we're talking 6 years of processing, talking, reliving. That's what I hate about talk therapy is reliving the trauma. I don't like that. Cycling through the same patterns. And the result is, yes, I had increased awareness. Yes, I had deeper levels of processing, but what was lacking was that freedom. Okay, let's do the math with hypnotherapy. 6 months to 2 years of hypnotherapy, maybe 10 to 30 sessions. We're talking 10 to 30 hours, okay, an hour a session. I pay out of pocket, or I always paid out of pocket because it wasn't accepted by insurance. It's an alternative practice, and insurance doesn't recognize that. So 30 sessions. I initially was paying 150 a session, then it bumped up to 200. I'm not sure exactly what I pay now because I don't look at it. I'm like, I need it either way, so I just pay it. But let's say, yeah, let's say $200 a session, 30 sessions, $6,000. That's valuable work, but 80% less expensive, over 80% actually. I'm not good at mathing. Okay. It's not my specialty. I don't have a calculator in front of me. And then let's talk about the cost of with your energy too. With talk therapy, it was like 6 years of processing, talking, reliving, all of that. With hypnotherapy, you're more focused in those 6 years. You are making more strategic decisions. You do the somatic releasing. So no endless processing. So you experience freedom. And besides the freedom that you get from it, you get that rapid rewiring and you actually experience shifts in your life. Which of those do you like better? Here's the difference. Approximately 280 less hours spent in therapy if you make the switch to hypnotherapy. You save well over $30,000. That's money. That's like a down payment on some really nice house. We're talking 4 to 5 years of my life I could have spent building, creating, living, and not processing. Okay. If you're a high achiever like me, this is critical if you are. Okay. I really want you to hear this. Your time is your most valuable asset. I know that. You know that. We all know that. Every year that you spend stuck in a limiting belief is a year that you aren't building your business at full capacity or building something at full capacity, earning what you're worth potentially, living in your purpose potentially, and stepping into your power for sure. And the opportunity cost of talk therapy alone is massive with all of that being said. So if I could go back and tell my younger self advice on all of this, here's what I would tell her. Talk therapy is a great foundation. Try it for, let's say, 6 months to a year, but do not stay there forever. That was the mistake I made. I stayed there way too long, you guys. Also, I would tell her if you hit a plateau, which you will, because we all do, don't just keep doing more of the same. Don't just go because you feel bad bowing out. Don't just go because you feel bad like you're going to let the therapist down. I would tell her that hypnotherapy isn't an alternative to therapy. It's that next level for therapy. You don't have to spend 6 years in talk therapy before you discover hypnotherapy. You can integrate hypnotherapy earlier and you can save yourself years of spinning your wheels. That's what I'd want the younger version of myself to know. And here's what I want you to know as my listener. You have a choice, okay? You don't have to spend 6 years in talk therapy before discovering hypnotherapy. You know about it now. So make wise decisions. You can start with hypnotherapy immediately. I have room on my calendar if you want to get in with me. If I'm not a good fit for you, DM me. I know of plenty of other hypnotherapists that I can recommend to you. Plenty. I have a lot of them in my network now, like an abundance of them in my network now. So integrate it now. Don't waste your time. And if you do, you can save yourself years and thousands of dollars. That's a win-win. Again, talk therapy is valuable, but it's not the only tool. And it's not the deepest tool either. If you've been in talk therapy for months or years and you're hitting a plateau, that's a sign. It's not a sign of failure. It's a sign that you need to move on to something deeper because your subconscious is trying to tell you that it needs something different and deeper. So listen to that. And the investment, you guys, that makes complete sense. Paying out of pocket for it makes complete sense. We're talking an elite service, a premium service, a service that gets to the root cause. It should cost more money than talk therapy. It should. That is a valuable service. And I'm not just saying that as a hypnotherapist, because I've been paying out of pocket for hypnotherapy for 6 years because it is a premium elite service. If it's going to heal at the root cause, I'll pay whatever I have to. So some therapists charge anywhere from $150 up to, I think the most expensive I've seen is $350 per session, for at least around here in the ones that I know. Yeah, that might sound expensive to you if you haven't worked through your limiting beliefs with money, but until you compare it to talk therapy, I don't think it's that expensive. Everybody's story is different when it comes to money. I completely understand that. But look at your life and what you're prioritizing and what those priorities are costing you. We all have priorities. Some people prioritize shopping on the weekends. What do you spend on that from month to month? You could put that money towards therapy, hypnotherapy. 3 hypnotherapy sessions, let's say at $200 a pop, that's $600. 1 month of talk therapy, whether it's covered by insurance or not, is $600. So you do the math, figure out what's more of a priority for you. But those 3 hypnotherapy sessions can shift beliefs that would take anywhere from 6 months to 6 years to heal in talk therapy. And that's not even a guarantee, but it is through hypnotherapy. So the ROI isn't just financial. It's you're getting your life back. You're getting time back. This isn't about choosing sides, like I said in the beginning. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying talk therapy is bad. I'm not saying it wasn't enough for me. It was a good foundation for me. I'm not saying everybody should skip talk therapy. I think everybody should start there. But I'm saying if you're struggling with core beliefs and patterns, hypnotherapy is the direction you need to go. That's a tool that actually works and right away. You might benefit from both. I definitely see benefit in doing both. Or you might benefit from starting with hypnotherapy and skipping years of talk therapy altogether. It's hard to say. Everybody's different in that way. I think with our healing journey, there's no roadmap. Okay. So in closing today, I want to say I spent 12 years in my healing journey with therapy, 6 in talk, 6 in hypnotherapy. But if I had known what I know now, I could have compressed that into probably 3 years. You don't have to take the long road that I took. You can learn from my journey and you can choose a faster path, and you should. You can go straight into the modality that actually works for you. And if you're ready to stop spinning your wheels and you're ready to stop talking about your wounds and wanting to actually release them, then hypnotherapy is waiting for you. You just got to answer that call. It's time that we try something different, and hypnotherapy might be exactly what you need. Okay. If any of this resonated deeply with you guys, I would really appreciate it if you would send me a DM, reach out to me, let me know what really hit home for you. And if you haven't rated and reviewed the podcast, I'd appreciate if you do that as well. And as always, I will talk to you guys all next week. Have a great week.
Real quick before you go, I just want to thank you so much for spending a little time with me today. And congratulations on showing up for you. Every step you take to invest in yourself brings you that much closer to your next level self, and I'm so proud of you. If you loved this episode, share it with someone who could use a little inspiration, or take a screenshot and tag me on socials so we can keep spreading the next level you energy. Thanks again for tuning in, and I can't wait to see you in the next episode. Let's freaking go!